Welcome everyone to the Social Innovation Fellowship Symposium. We're so excited to have you here with us this evening and to be able to have you all hear from our Social Innovation Fellows. And so we are going to get right to it because we want our scholars to be able to present their projects. And so before we get into it, we know there's some new folks to API Scholars here. And so we want to give you a little bit background on API Scholars. So API Scholars, or Asian and Pacific Islander American Scholars, is the nation's largest nonprofit organization devoted to creating opportunities that provide access to higher education and resources that cultivate the academic, personal, and professional success of Asian and Pacific Islander Americans. And so you can see this picture that's on our, that's in our office, our brand new office in Washington, DC, with our tagline, educate, elevate, and empower. And it encapsulates our efforts to advance the conversation around access to education, elevating the voice of the API community, and empowering API leaders to drive systemic change. And so tonight, you'll get to see some of that from our fellows in what we did in terms of our program as a Social Innovation Fellowship, and in other ways beyond. So stay tuned. A little bit about us and the programs team. I'm joined here by Melissa and Cindy on the programs team. The programs team focuses on API college students and young professionals to cultivate their authentic leadership by developing their skills as professionals, innovators, and advocates. And you'll be able to see how our fellows exhibit just these things tonight. So in our programming, we offer 4 foundational programs for our scholars and alumni. They include a mentoring program, the Industry Expert Series, which exposes our students to various internships and employment opportunities. We've launched a mental health initiative last month in May, and you see a screenshot from our scholars posting about the Elevating Leader Summit, which our second annual one will happen in July of 2021. So we're really excited for it. I want to bring Melissa to the stage. She's the Director of Programs at API Scholars and is the linchpin for all the programs that we provide at API Scholars, including this very own fellowship. Melissa, I'm curious, and feel free to share with the group, what's been your favorite part of this fellowship?
Thanks, Shyam, and hi everyone. It's great to see everyone in this space. It's always a pleasure to be able to gather together in community. So the thing that I love the most about the Social Innovation Fellowship is that it's an opportunity for scholars to dive deep into the APIA college experience by conducting countless empathy interviews and really taking time to intently listen to the stories and experiences of their fellow APIA college students. And many of the stories that they're listening to, the fellows relate to on a personal level. And in doing so, they truly understand the student experience. And then they take that learning to then develop a design that can create equity for the APIA student community. And through this entire process, by designing in this way, the fellows are paving the way for a better higher education experience for future generations. And that is just something that is truly valuable and unique within our API Scholars programs. And it's been so fantastic to be a part of it.
Awesome. And you were getting at, you said so much in there, Melissa, that really speaks to why this fellowship existed or what led to us to think about it, and some of the skills that our scholars were able to learn and become an expert on. And so a little bit more about that. We recognize that our scholars and alumni are the largest assets that we have as API scholars. And after all, who better to understand the API college and career experience than our API scholars and alumni? And so, but finding solutions for our students isn't just getting people in a room and asking, so what should we do? So that's where we thought about incorporating the skills and tools of design thinking to what Melissa was getting at. How do our scholars and alumni or fellows in this program really understand the users, in this case, API college students? And what kind of questions do they need to ask each other of our scholars to challenge those assumptions and create those solutions. And so to make that possible, we knew Melissa and I didn't have those skills. We have many other skills, but didn't have the skills around design thinking. So we Trudy from WMCAT Public Agency, who was our phenomenal instructor for the past 6 to 7 months, leading the group throughout with building their skills and the conversations that necessary for the design thinking. And so here's a little bit of a collage that sort of describes our work along the way. Fellows met together for twice a month for structured content. They also met outside of their teams for discussions and tasks along the way. It was truly amazing to see this group of fellows come together over time. When you think about 6 to 7 months, we're talking about we worked through the holidays, the election, different parts of COVID, different job offers, grad school acceptances. It was so amazing to see the team do phenomenal work together, but also show up for each other and care for one another as we were moving through those different life experiences. And so thank you all for hearing a little bit about API Scholars and a little bit about how the fellowship was formed. I'm going to pass it over to Melissa to talk a little bit about what you all can expect tonight from this symposium.
Great, thanks, Sham. Okay, so tonight you will hear from the teams of our Social Innovation Fellowship. So each of the Social Innovation Fellowship or fellows talking about their individual projects. And each project was based on certain themes. And so you'll hear from Team 1, who talked about the mentorship experience, really dove deep into that. From Team 2 on connecting with emotional health, and then Team 3, which is fulfillment and stability in careers. So each team will share their projects for about 10 minutes, and hold on to your questions, because then what we'll do afterwards is everyone will have the opportunity to go into a breakout room with their team of choice to ask some more in-depth questions and have more of a dialogue with the fellows as well. So hold on to your questions. We'll have some breakout sessions. You'll be able to select which team you'll like to join.
Awesome. So let's dive right into it with our first group of Jerry, Melvin, Vijaya, and Sharon. And we will, Melvin, take it away. I will stop sharing.
Everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Alrighty.
Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending our presentation tonight. We've been working on our design thinking project for the past 5+ months, and we're incredibly excited to share our work with you all. We're Team 1, and my name is Sharon. These are my teammates.
I'm Melvin.
Jerry.
Hi.
Sorry about that. So we were challenged by the APIA Social Innovation Fellowship to brainstorm potential solutions for API student retention in higher education. We interviewed a total of 12 subjects, and they range from current high school and college students to postgraduates from across the country. We specifically wanted to focus on mentorship experiences, given how crucial that they can be for student retention. And when we cross-referenced commonalities, we found that API students were seeking an important aspect that was not offered by existing mentorship programs, which is a family. And we specifically intend for second family to indicate a holistic support system that's not just those who are related to you by blood, but those who allow you to remain grounded and are able to lift you up both personally and academically during your highs and your lows. This culminated in a prototype mentorship program called APIA Rise, which stands for Readiness, Inspiration, and Success in Higher Education. It's a 4-year cohort-based mentorship program that's intended to place power back into the hands of the mentee by allowing them to select their own mentors and engage with their fellow mentees on a regular basis. We also plan to provide monthly curriculum for students that's based on research on student retention and what causes students to drop out, which was conducted by the organization's One Goal and College Possible. And we also hope to provide translated materials for the parents, guardians, or support systems of the student who do not speak or read English.
One of the main functions of our program is to have mentor cohorts. In our interviews, we found that a lot of the interviewees wanted to have a community with their mentorship, not just a one-on-one relationship. So we found that it's really important to create a village and family X type of environment for all our mentees. So we want to offer different social events based on the cohorts throughout the year and years to ensure that everyone is in communication and that they're all in it together in this mentorship process. For our mentorship matching process, we have a 5-step approach. The first is we interview both the mentees and mentors, and then we match the mentees with our top 3 choices that would best suit them. And then we allow them the choice to choose who they want to be their mentor. And we also then provide post-match curriculum in order to facilitate conversations. And then lastly, if necessary, we allow mentees to rematch if the relationship does not work out. For the interview process, we'll be hiring a project coordinator or coordinators to interview both the mentees and mentors. For the mentors, we have a more lengthy interview. This is really just to gauge their readiness to be a mentor. We want to note that we welcome all lived experiences and the impact that they can have on our mentees. We also want to make sure that they have the right skill sets to properly facilitate conversation and support our mentees through their 4 years. So a lot of our questions cover wider topics that are important to our mentees, and this can range from scenario-based questions, personality traits, and why they resonate with the mission and vision of APIA Rise. And for the mentees, we wanted the shorter format interview. We didn't want to overwhelm them. It's more to gauge their specific needs and understand who they are and what identities that they have in order to properly match them. We also offer a lot of helper and context clues, such as like what a mentor is, what a career is, what professional careers are, and what personality traits are. We wanted to ensure it was an equitable interview and that they were able to facilitate and offer answers that would help us best suit them.
After our first round of interviews and the development of our how might we questions, we discovered a design opportunity that focuses on allowing mentees to select their mentor and creating a more consistent mentorship program. These insights relate to common issues we found and heard from our testers from their mentorship experiences, where individuals are typically assigned someone, and at times that leads to relationships that aren't compatible. Consequently, this causes mentor connections to end quickly. So this influenced my group to design a mobile application that can help address these problems and empower mentees to better connect with mentors and receive a more consistent mentorship program experience throughout their 4 years in college. Before designing any of our initial sketches, we created a user flowchart to help illustrate some of the critical functions that our mobile application will feature. We found this to be important and imperative in helping us identify specific pain points and account for a wide array of scholars that plan to utilize our application. This was within the defined phase of our design thinking process, where we had to ensure that we acknowledge and include everyone's perspective and needs. And here are the final designs for our mobile app after conducting a second round of interviews and iterating through our prototype. What's shown first depicts our main functions that center on the mentor selection process and including a holistic overview of a mentor from both a professional and personal perspective for users to interact with. Also, it allows mentors to reach out and schedule a meetup if there's a potential fit. And for the next set of final designs, here are the secondary functions within our app. These features help create a hub for the mentorship program to be consistently engaging and interactive. It includes upcoming events and curriculum, a calendar to track important dates, peer-to-peer communities, and messaging for easy mentor contact.
Okay, so after students get paired up with mentors, we provide them with a curriculum that will address all aspects of college life. And as you can see to your left, there is a mock interview for an incoming freshman. In July, we will be focusing on the financial aspects of college and dealing with some of the more immediate stressors, such as housing and having a college financing plan. And then in August, we will be focusing on the academic preparedness aspect of college. For example, how to learn some effective learning strategies, creating study groups, even going to professors, all of those skills. In September, we will be focusing on more of the social aspects of college, kind of trying to assimilate and find a sense of belonging in their college campus. And then in October, we will be focusing on work study, allowing students to gain more work experience, and also helping students with filling out the FAFSA to get their highest possible aid. As you can see, we are trying to kind of follow or mimic the life cycle of a student, but obviously all of this is subject to change depending on various factors, which includes but is not exclusive to whether students go by a a quarter or semester system, some of the specific needs of our students in the program. And this is all to ensure that our programming is as tailored as we can possibly make it to optimize the effectiveness of our programming. And then to your right, we also have the rematching process. We want to emphasize that we understand that mentoring is a process. It won't be perfect the first time, and we're willing to work with students on that. We actually allow students to get rematched after like a 3-month trial period. And in these 3 months, we allow students to have some time to try to develop a relationship and establish a connection with their mentor. And then we also ask students and mentors alike to provide feedback after each session. And then we will act as a third party, communicating with both sides on areas of improvement. And last but not least, we understand that this is a two-way relationship. So we care about the feelings and development of our mentees and mentors alike. And we want to create the best possible program to address any minor issues as soon as we possibly can.
Here are some of the takeaways we got from our tested experience. First, the main goal is to focus on the user and love them, not our product. Sometimes we invest a lot of time into what we build and hold a personal connection to it, leading us away from the user. It's important to recognize and understand that we're designing for our APIA scholars in this case, and not for ourselves. Next, we want to uplift essential functions more than secondary features. This point relates to our first takeaway, that we can get carried away and direct our attention on other items that don't have a huge priority to bettering the mentorship experience. We must emphasize what benefits our users and work to improve those aspects. Third, incorporating a more aesthetic changes to instill a stronger family feeling and appeal within our mobile app, and move away from purely professional atmosphere found in LinkedIn and other social media platforms, ultimately to create an environment that's more welcoming and inclusive for APIA scholars to thrive in.
And lastly, we want to be explicit and really clear with language and definitions that we use, especially with family. We want to make sure that it wasn't as blood, but more so as a support system. And also the words that we use to both entice mentees and mentors. We want to provide definitions and also equitable language to ensure that everyone can participate and join in our program.
We'd like to close by sharing our reflections on the entire design thinking process. So please take a moment to read the quotes listed on the slide. But otherwise, this concludes the end of our presentation, and we'd like to sincerely thank APIA scholars, especially Melissa and Sham, our sponsors McDonald's, the West Michigan Center of Arts and Technology, specifically Trudy, who has been our phenomenal design thinking instructor, our entire fellowship cohort, and all the interview and testing subjects for supporting us and working with us throughout this time.
Wow. Thank you, team. Especially when it comes to mentoring, we have things, so much that is in there and how we want to approach our mentoring program in the future. Thank you so much. And if you want to be with the mentoring team and ask them any specific questions about their learnings, you will have that chance in about 20 minutes. I want to invite team 2 up, Caitlin, Ryan, Soma, and Sydney, to the stage, and we'll hear about their initiative.
Awesome. Welcome everyone to this wonderful symposium. Before we get started, we'd like to introduce our wonderful team members. So my name is Ryan Mandato, pronouns are he, him, and I am a school leader in Hawaii. One of the reasons for why I joined this fellowship was to look at how we can support K-12 systems for AAPI students. Being the youngest school leader in the state, I'm really looking at how to build confidence in our community to tap into what they already know. Passing over to Sydney.
Hi everyone, my pronouns are she and hers. I am a designer and researcher based in Oakland, California. And I joined this fellowship because having recently graduated during this pandemic, I left school with more questions about my future ever more than before starting my first year. And to support that college and career navigation, mental health and beyond, I wanted to help engage API students in dialogues about their well-being and implement design strategies to co-create solutions that are relevant to our community. And I'm passing this on to Caitlin.
Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin Nedrow. My pronouns are she and her. I joined this fellowship because it's really fundamental to my undergraduate experience at West Virginia University that I give back to my community, and also just to be a part of another community and a part of a team of like-minded individuals to have the opportunity to create something meaningful and something that is long lasting for APIA students is something that is not accessible on my campus. So to have this opportunity and to be a part of it is really special to me. And now I'm going to pass it over to Soma.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hi, everyone. My name is Soma Sharan. I'm the philanthropy advisor at a community foundation in Los Angeles. And I was really excited to be a part of this fellowship because I wanted to learn about how I could use design thinking to solve some of the issues that philanthropy aims to address. And I was really excited to meet the other fellows in this group and be a part of this APIA community. Before we begin and dive into our project, if you could all just close your eyes for a moment, I'd like to take you on a really short journey with us. Imagine that you're a young APIA person who has struggled to fit into a box. Imagine that you so often feel conflicted in your APIA identity and how it shows up in your personal, academic, or professional life. Now, finally, imagine being aware of all of these inner and outer conflicts, but not knowing where to begin addressing them. You can open your eyes and I'll pass it back to Caitlin.
Thank you, Soma, for getting us into this mindset. So we as a team had a lot of conversations, and after getting to know each other a little bit better, we decided we wanted to explore imposter syndrome. Now, imposter syndrome has many varying definitions. It was first coined in 1978, but for our purpose, we defined it as the internal fear of inadequacy that persists despite success. After we chose to focus on this topic, we composed a list of questions and interviewed 6 unique postgraduate and early professionals to identify common themes of imposter syndrome. So after conducting multiple empathy interviews, we developed our persona, Megan, and I'm going to introduce you to her. She's 24 years old and a recent graduate and job seeker. She currently helps her family business and wants to move out. She also lacks a safe space when sharing emotions with her family.
What stood out to us most when our user Megan told us that she felt that there was a privilege of sharing her emotions with family with no repercussions. And like many of our API user interviews, there were 4 major themes of imposter syndrome that we synthesized based on their experiences. 1, survival and success. 2, financial and cultural burden. 3, depression and mental health. And 4, privilege and responsibility. And often these are repetitive feelings that are largely impacted in these users' social and personal spheres, especially when they're navigating their academics, their career transition, and even dealing with family and culture. So that leads us to ask our driving question throughout this project. How might we help students create safe and productive spaces to connect with their families about their emotional health?
So to address this question, we started brainstorming and we came up with many different ideas, which included building out a mental wellness app, building a program with existing mental health organizations, creating a self-help toolkit. And essentially we categorize these, all of these ideas into 3 main areas. The first was self-reflection and healing. So really, how do folks go on a personal journey to begin with this work around imposter syndrome? The second portion of it was really around community and support. So building a digital online forum where others could find themselves within a community and understand that they were not alone in this work. And lastly, providing action and mutual aid. So providing resources through the community forum and subsidizing therapy costs. Ultimately, we decided this was a lot to tackle. We were not mental health professionals, so we decided that focusing on the personal journey, the self-reflection and healing was what we should be designing.
Thanks, team. I'm going to move forward and talk a little bit about our prototype. And so I'm going to share that on the screen. So as our team mentioned, our prototype is focused on one bucket of what we wanted to investigate, which was about the self-identification and reflection on how to heal and grow. So we created this wonderful and beautiful work. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this individualized self-reflection workbook. In the workbook, we have 4 different aspects for AAPI scholars to navigate and think about how to think and express their own self-liberation. So we talk about self-growth, financial identity, culture and family, and reflection and introspection. I'll be talking about my chapter, which is about self-growth. So these pages focus on what it means to show up as your highest self. By recognizing strengths, it will help people to tap into what they already know and identify how external factors are contributing to their feelings of inadequacy. And so in this chapter, AAPI scholars can identify how they're feeling through a wellness wheel, ranking kind of where they are in their relationships, their physical fitness, sleep, etc. And also taking an opportunity to jot down how they show up as their highest self. So what kinds of strengths do they bring every day, either to school or in the professional setting? And all these photos were captured by me in Hawaii. It also allows for AAPI scholars to do a 7-day reflection, once again, recognizing the strengths that they show up with, and then comparing that to what is the systems telling them they're inadequate in. Passing it over to Soma to talk about financial identity.
Thank you, Ryan. So for the financial identity section, we really wanted to focus on the interplay between an individual's cultural identity and their financial identity. Income inequality among the APIA communities is vast and often distilled into stereotypes based on one's racial identity and socioeconomic status. So in this section, we decided to focus on these personal reflection questions on how a person's familial financial identity has impacted or will impact their future. And then we also included in the next section some reflections from APIA students who thought about their own financial identity. And I'll just take a moment to read this quote, which says, "You really have to think about how much money you're going to make for yourself and for your family as well. Exiting generational poverty and building wealth are 2 different things." And I'll pass it on to Caitlin or Sydney.
This section is culture and family. It focuses on familial healing and how that affects students like Megan to experience a sense of imposter syndrome within the home environment. Within the chapter, there are a collection of individual reflection pages to journal her feelings and thoughts. For example, in this activity, it's called I Have a Right, focuses on affirmations related to the theme of self and family. Here, Megan can write her feelings, such as she has a right to justify her existence in the world. And she has the right to identify differently how her parents expect her to be. And there are also additional guided activities with her family on the next page here. They're intended to be translated in multiple languages. And by having this guidance, students and their family members can begin to build that open line of productive communication. And this purpose is to build that trust and break down expectations by setting personal boundaries and defining their own success. And lastly, after each section, there is also space for Megan to collect her thoughts after each session.
So at the end, we have Megan reflect and review her journey through reflection and introspection activities. So this chapter is just dedicated to everything that she has learned about herself while completing this workbook. So introspection helps someone look inward so they can examine their thoughts and feelings. For Megan, there are 6 questions for her to answer, and that help her focus on different discoveries that she made during her journey while completing this workbook. And through reflection, hopefully Megan is able to learn from this experience. I have her complete a rose, thorn, and bud activity, which the purpose of this is for Megan to identify something good, which is her rose, something difficult, which would be her bud, or her thorn, excuse me. Something difficult would be her thorn, and something that she is looking forward to would be her bud, because we recognize that some parts in the first 3 chapters could have been very difficult for her to experience, and we want to emphasize that this journey still continues even after she completes this workbook.
Thank you, team. And just to wrap up the prototype, at the end, we hope to connect API scholars to community resources, which is some sites that they could connect to via social media. But once again, the purpose, the goal of this individual self-guided process is to build community. We hope that the completion of activities like this can bring folks together to discuss, reflect, engage in collective self-development. And to end, I just want to share my last slide, or our last slide, with a reminder that self-reflection and self-liberation is important, but that's not the only thing that needs fixing. A lot of work needs to be done to dismantle social systems that prevent AAPI folks from being their true authentic self in school and professional settings. And I want to note that the purpose of this book is not to fix you or you as an individual. You don't need to be fixed. People are not broken, systems are. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. So much. We can't wait to get our hands on a physical copy of that book. Thank you, team. And now we'll pass it over to our final team with Aishwarya, Chris, Henry, and Maria. So take it away, Chris. Chris, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Okay, let me start over. My name is Chris, and our group is Aishwarya, Henry, and Maria. And we're just going to dive right into our project, which we've labeled APIA Insights. So out of the many interviewees, we identified one profile of an API student, and we're going to name her Emily. She's a first-year student at Trinity, and she's a first-gen from a low-income background API college student. And she's currently pursuing computer science for her major. And she's doing that because she wants to get a tech job right after college, or that's what she thinks for now. But she also told us she's really passionate about the medical field, and her dream was to one day become a doctor. And so we've related to that very much, that it's hard to navigate these career decisions and hard to know what to decide, in terms of major and particular career paths, especially if you don't have strong mentors or a lot of resources. So from that, we came with the challenge of redesigning the career navigating or the career picking experience specifically for API students, acknowledging the various burdens and challenges that specifically our API group faces. And from that, we distilled down further that we made the assumption. Our hypothesis was that students don't have a holistic idea or a very detailed or well-informed idea of what a specific career entails. And we want, how can we offer up, insights, as you can say, into different career paths so that our API students can make better informed decisions about their future paths. So from that, all that research led to our prototype. Maria?
So API Insights derived from our research to provide an online platform to be used as a tool for success for first generation and low-income AAPI college students and early career professionals in having better confidence and career insights and readiness to make informed decisions on what career path they should take. So our online platform is similar to Glassdoor and LinkedIn, but with a focus with career reviews from Asian and Pacific Islander professionals in the continental US and US territories for Asian and Pacific Islander students. And with the APIA Insights application, we provide 3 solid components, as you can see here, for AAPI students and early career professionals, most especially those that identify as first generation college students. So the 3 components are a solid network to stay connected with industry professionals in the Asian and Pacific Islander community in the US and territories, industry knowledge from career reviews and insights that would allow students and early career professionals to make informed decisions, and doing so allowing them to establish a solid pillar in their decision-making process and building their careers based on what uniquely suits them, their passions, and priorities. So as a group, we have created a demo to walk you through a potential prototype for APIA Insights. Chris, take it away.
Hi everyone, this is Henry and welcome to APIA Insights, an online platform written by AAPI and for AAPI. APIA Insights has a 3-step process for early career professionals and college students trying to navigate their careers. Step 1, which is taking the survey to match their ideal industry or career, which assists them in figuring out what career suits best for the users. Step 2 allows users to see their career matches as a result of the career survey they completed. And then finally, step 3 is the networking phase, which is a vital part of the process, most especially for first-generation college students working to build their network, making meaningful connections, and the industry or career insights in careers they have matched with based on the survey. Next, I will pass on to Maria.
Now we will be doing the career match survey. So this is just an example of a typical career match survey that we will have on our website. So we will take the quiz. So which of the following subject matters interest you? You can pick humanities and arts. Do you have an industry you're interested in? We could say yes. And what are we good at? We can select here writing or speaking. And if we identify as a low income or from a low income family, you can either put yes or no. And would we pursue a career out of passion, even if it comes at the expense of a lower salary? We can say yes. Do you want to choose your occupation so that you can give back to the community? And then we can choose whether yes or no. And where would we like to work based on the location? Here we will have results that range from 3 to 4 career profiles that may be of interest to you based on the questionnaire. Again, this is a real prototype, but this is exactly what we are trying to show for early career professionals and students who are confused or are curious about what they would want to do for their careers. But what if you know what industry or career to pursue? Well, we have a tab for you. For this prototype in API Insights, our team gathered 24 comprehensive industry insights in 1 week from API professionals in the continental United States, Hawaii, and Guam. Now I'll pass it off to Henry to talk about a specific career insight.
So let's look at Maria's match to the nonprofit profession, which can be found here. learn more. So through our websites, we're able to see Maria's personal ratings of her career and her main responsibilities within her organization. More importantly, we can see her insights as an APIA professional working in the nonprofit sector. The questions that she addressed are, how did you get the job? Pros and cons of her career. Why she chose to pursue this career path, work-life balance, and her day-to-day routine as a nonprofit professional. Through this relevant question, API students and early professionals can gain insights into Maria's role within the organization, which also provides career readiness for the user. Finally, the users are able to connect with Maria through our API insights. Maria includes her email as well as her LinkedIn tab at the bottom of her page. Also, she included her calendar if anyone is interested in scheduling a quick coffee chat with her. Next, I will pass on to Maria.
So overall, the purpose of APIA Insights as an online platform is to be used as a tool for success, especially for first-generation and low-income college students or early career professionals that need guidance in making career decisions. Now I will pass it off to Ashwarya to close off our presentation.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. So after seeing this demo, we hope that it's visible that we're very passionate about this platform. This platform really helps bridge the gap between opportunity and potential. So many of the careers that exist today didn't exist 5 years ago, but a lot of our APIA youth don't have access to them because they don't know that a lot of these careers even exist. We're all from very diverse backgrounds. The folks that we interviewed, our team, whether it's our experiences, I'm in analytics, Maria's in nonprofit, we're all doing different things. But in terms of the value that we think that our app brings, it's definitely across the board, something that everyone's really excited about, whether it was our interviewees. One of our interviewees actually helped with our development. She's here today. Thank you so much, Youngon. Or our contributors. I had my fiance, my extended network just contribute and add data because we think the more data there is, the more value in the platform. And everyone was so excited about the potential opportunity of mentorship. They wish that there was something that existed like this when they were younger because the career path that they fell into, they either love or they're still curious about other career paths. There's just been a lot of excitement about this, and this is something that we're very passionate about and wish that it existed for us when we were in college. So before talking about next steps, just wanted to just take a second and talk about how this is really valuable content. It's more than just surface level information about salary, what to expect from a job. It goes beyond that. How much fulfillment do you feel? What do you need to do to be able to be successful in that career field? How can I prepare myself? So some of the next steps that we'd like to take after catching up with some of our testers is really defining what fulfillment means. So a really critical part of our prototype was highlighting fulfillment because that was something that really resonated with a lot of our interviewees. We want to be able to deep dive into what fulfillment means because it's different for everyone. We want to continue to have more professionals contribute to this because we think the more data, the more value. And we really want to continue to invest our time, invest our efforts into building out this functionality and making the UI seamless. Success for this app really, it's both qualitative and quantitative. In terms of KPIs, we really want to make sure that a lot of connections are formed. There's a lot of data out there. There's a lot of traffic on the site. But from a more qualitative perspective, we just want to help develop a community. We want there to be a platform that folks can go to when they've got questions about who do I want to be. It's going to continue to evolve and change. We can find that there's a student that may want to start off more in the tech accounting space because they want that stability, and then eventually move into another space that they're more passionate about. We want to give people options, and that's why we think that this platform is really valuable. So in closing, thank you so much for listening. This is something that we're really excited about, have put a lot of nights and weekends into, and are excited to continue the discussion and continue to talk about this. Thank you.
We are hitting the home stretch here. And tremendous thank you for those who stayed on. And we'll just close up with some thank yous. And yeah, and then we can stay on if there are other thoughts. And so thank you, Melissa.
Yep. First, huge thank you to everyone for joining. A giant thank you to all of our fellows and the community for being with us here. For the folks who did stick around, if you could just drop something into the chat, you can send it to either Sham or I, or if you can send it to everyone, all the better. A key takeaway that you're bringing with you from this experience this evening. I think having kind of those smaller groups really led to some strong discussion. So I know in the room that I was in, it might be helpful to also maybe drop some of your social media handles or LinkedIn's so that we can continue to build this APIA community, which, as Sean mentioned at the beginning, is one of our strongest assets as an organization to bring folks together. So that is a fantastic way to stay connected. So I'm going to drop those into the chat. Along with your takeaways. But yes, a huge thank you to everyone for joining today. And yes, and Trudy had to jump off, but we wanted to really highlight her because her expertise in design thinking is off the charts. And we really, really appreciate everything that she's brought to this Social Innovation Fellowship for our students. I know that there's lots of feels about Trudy in our fellowship, and they're all very positive. So we just wanted to give her a shout out. We'll send her the recording so she knows we did it.
Yeah, and to close out, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, McDonald's, Suhaili Davis, and Jennifer Kim from the IW Group. Without their generous financial support, we wouldn't be able to have launched this fellowship and have some of these amazing ideas that we can chew on, that can maybe spur some new ideas or new careers potentially for more APIA folks. And then lastly, I want to say a special thank you to our fellows. We would not have been able to do this tremendous work without you. Clearly, y'all did the work, so there would be no work. But I would just want to say that, like, we asked you to tackle a really large question, and outside of the intellectual part of it, asking ourselves, like, what would be, like, you know, how might we improve the college experience for APIA students? There is that emotional component in it. The APIA students or young professionals that you interviewed, or even the conversations you had, you may have seen a little bits of yourself in them, or bits of people who you love and care about in those interviews and in those reflections. And that emotional labor can sometimes feel even that much more heavier than the intellectual labor of thinking about design thinking. And so I really wanted to say thank you so much for committing to that, working through it, continuously working on it, having each other to rely on, and then just think about all of the great work that you're able to codify in this fellowship that we could then build upon for more APIA students, more APIA young professionals. So their experience in this world could be just a little bit easier. So thank you, fellows, for all the work that you put in for us in this fellowship and for our community at large. Thank you.